Hello friends, thank you very much for tuning in. Somebody asked in the comments below if I could take a look at Quant, and I'm trying to do that now, although I didn't find out the tickers from them. So I'm going to take a look at Quant versus Bitcoin and Quant versus US dollar here just in a second. And I just thought, well, I've got 24-hour chart up behind me here, and what kind of jumps out here at us is, of course, this general shape here that we're looking at. It seems to have a sort of glass ceiling on it, and just sort of connecting up a couple of highs there. If you put it on log, maybe they connect up a little bit better over the piece, you know, looking back since this coin got listed here. And this is looking at it on Bittrex, by the way. I tend not to look at coins at this sort of like this, but hey, why not? Let's just do it for the crack. Was asked to bonus coin, why not? So you can see maybe there's slight differences if you've got this drawn in on log or whatever. Let's take it off log for now, and let's just stick it down here and be sort of generous with it right now and talk about things from the sort of bullish case scenario just as we get started here, and say, hey, look, potentially we've got this downward sloping trend line of say maybe even perhaps let's enhance this and say that we had some sort of triangular shape. Now let's not nitpick and tell me that I should be putting this in with a slope on it and not having it as a descending triangle. Let's just agree that these things are subjective, and that of course I could have it drawn in whatever way. We'll not worry about any of that for now. And we could also discuss if you wanted to, the concept of whether or not this is some sort of wedgie type thing or whatever. Who knows? But we'll not nitpick about this. Just say, hey, look, we've got this general shape here. Is it more fair to put the tops of it in here where we're still within it right now, or could we have potentially broken out of it, just as our first question on the 24-hour chart, and looking at it from a fairly zoomed out perspective? And let's see, in terms of the volume here, in terms of would this be a breakout volume, it's not really coming in and screaming it currently, not really, although there has been an uptake in volume since this overall upward move. You know, if the triangle somehow ended there. No, anyway, look, right, there's you could have drawn in the past in various different ways, right? But overall, right now, we'll just settle for something like this and talk about is whether or not this is a breakout or do we need to move it up. And potentially the volume is better than it was. Is it shocking in terms of where we've seen like lots of big volume coming in at? I'm not sure, but I don't know how the volume on this thing necessarily works overall. Yeah, okay, there's been a general increase in volume, and that's good to see. If there were to be a measured move just off the back of something like this, and you were really going to be like really incredibly generous about things, then you could stick it up there and say that you might be looking as much as whatever that is, 181,700 satoshis or something. But let's not get carried away and let's not do that just now. Let's instead look just quickly at the oscillators here and say, is there any divergence across this little trend? Well, this trend is too early to say. There's not really been a low as part of it to look for, you know, in terms of making highs and lows and everything else. The previous highs all over here, you know, it's not divergent, but it's only just started. So is it a bit rich to say that? Yeah, it is a bit. Currently, we don't have enough sort of price action here on this time frame. We can take a look at lower ones in a second. The trend, on the other hand, has got this sort of downward spike in it just now. Currently, looking at this, going to be asking a question over the next wee while. Should we be seeing a turnaround? Of course, if we see it going on up the way, then this will only just continue to strengthen. So that's a question mark, which could easily be answered with a very emphatic yes towards upside stuff, or it could, of course, as well just sort of, you know, be the start of this sort of a thing where it sort of tapers off. Who knows? Just now, but it's good to see overall, I suppose. But then let's take away this concept, and instead of thinking about things as being constricted by shapes and everything else, instead let's just take a quick look at how we've been doing really in terms of the price and what we've got on the go here. Well, we've got a previous highs really got to be put in at this area here. Let's put in a horizontal line for this just for now. So the previous area just there, more or less, and we have this overall formation. If we see the price, the volume, and continue to uptake towards this area, get rejected from it, perhaps slink sideways for a while, then we could potentially have a cup and shoulders on our hands. But could we also have that kind of happening in the terms of psychology just in and around this level here anyway? Say, you know, in general, if something like this were to happen, you know, with this being the rounded bottom overall, or it's best whenever you've got the psychology working for you to say that you've got two previous tops that you kind of effectively double topped between here and over on the left, and you don't really have that so much. It's something I look for in cup and handles. Anyway, so let's see instead. Have we got? I mean, there's this sort of lower term, right? Anyway, that's that. So the horizontal lines, yeah. So if we get, so we can't really say in terms of the 24-hour trend that although we've got this high here and this high here, which are of course not divergent between them and everything else, and that's good. That's a bit much. Really, this is the high that we need to be breaking. And have we got there yet? So not yet. So if the prices get up to 85,578, then of course, then we can be looking towards upside, and that would be quite good. Otherwise, we're kind of going to have to be looking to find out where our next support level is. And of course, in it where we are right now does seem to be one historically in this area. You can see denoted by where the red line is at the current sell price. So you know, on beyond down from where we are now, the next level down is down here at that. At this price here, more or less, 52,000. So you know that's a significant enough decrease from there. Let's take a couple of Fibonacci's on here and see. We'll start off with the one from the all-time highs, and we'll go wick to wick on this crazy baby for just as a starting point here, and say, okay, so that's where your 236 is, and close enough to where that horizontal line is to kind of just move on and say, let's just draw this in body to body instead. And where does that take us? Well, the 50% retrace is there, of course. So we do have this other line to be aware of at 382, which does seem to say something. So should the prices drop below this point here, then I would expect them to actually come down to 55. So if they drop below 60,000, I'd expect that move down a little bit. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice. That would be my first line there. That would also be a 236 Fibonacci turnaround point retracement if I were to draw one in, assuming that this was the top and just going from here to there. Anyway, as you can see, as I do that there, it lines up with the 236 right on that 318 where that horizontal line is we've just drawn in at. So that would be in a sort of the crucial area just there in that front. And then, of course, we're looking towards the 618 golden pocket zone to not be greedy in terms of taking profits, where it would also give us this double top. We could got something coming in here. You could maybe see a cup and handle formation if you wanted to see a reversal of this overall downward trend. Otherwise, if you don't see that happen, then of course it's talking about continuation to the downside. Should we just directly break right through this line, then I think that would be quite bullish in and of itself, and be interesting to see, of course, how things respond around about that 786 level, or I'd expect to see some sort of pull back at that point. But you'd be making new highs, and things would maybe have a different story to kind of give us more information at that point. So we'd have to check back in with it then. Okay, but yeah, this is enough for now. Actually, I've gone on too long. Let's take a look at Quant versus the. Maybe I was just getting to the good stuff there. I don't know. Quant versus US dollar. I suspect the story will be hopefully more or less the same. Oh, we've got this more sort of V type shape here. There's some potential sort of Eve and Adam type bottom happening overall over here, but where does the prices come down as low as right down, created all-time lows, did they, right there as well? So that's new. Let's draw in a wick to wick Fibonacci off of our all-time highs to all-time lows. Oh, there's another crazy wick over there. We'll call this one in some sort of liquidity aberration thing, and ignore it for now. Okay, so maybe that's cheating, or is that actually the volume candle? Yeah, it's just the volume candle. So the 236 comes in here where we're just above currently. That's good to see. 4.4 or 4.8. Sorry, so $4.8. So that's good to see. We've made it up above there. That's reasonable. Next target could be in here at the $7 area. That's be good to see. Of course, in between times, you do have this resistance area, of course, in around that $6 flat. $6 probably speaking for itself, and let's just have a stick a wee sort of horizontal line in around about $6. So this will be a reminder to us, hey, look, you know, this is something to be aware of. I mean, people are going to be looking at $6, are they not? We've made a high at that point. We could easily come in and set in a higher low, and if a higher low currently, of course, would be anything higher than down here. Hopefully, though, you've managed to make it stay above previous areas of fairly strong resistance. So let's hope if we do get a higher higher low and that it doesn't go any lower than around that area as we break down past the 236 to get to that area, of course. So that would have inherent risk in there. And of course, if we were to make it go on up and make highs, say at around about that $6, you could be looking as well at the $4.80 area as being your sort of where your 236 is potentially for a retracement there off the back of that. Let's stick this down body to body just as a quick summary in terms of and then where you could see an intermediate level, of course, where this 236 comes in at $4.40. So where I made that sort of slip of the tongue earlier on, that's kind of true as well. So potentially there's your sort of your operating range. We've got a good shape overall. We've got this diminishing volume though. I do not like to see that. So you can see here, just generally speaking, that things have been diminishing here quite starkly in terms of overall between this area. Of course, the whole move downwards was over at that point. We've not had any increase in volume ever since. Maybe though we'll see that coming in at certain pivot points in the market. Maybe this is the precursor towards that. This could have also as well be described as being stopping volume as well. So we've not really seen starting volume quite so much, but this is stopping volume in terms of the trend ending. That's quite good. Let's see how things interact around here, and then you'd get your sort of starting volume coming in thereafter, or indeed maybe you just see things continuing to the downside. Let's see. Interesting coin. Thanks very much to whoever it was. I'll respond now to your comment, and then I'll know your name. Sorry I didn't know your name to give you a shout out in this episode, but thanks for the question. I'll link you to this video in your comment, and yeah, I really appreciate everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, all that sort of stuff. I normally do Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Tezos. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, and Tezos. Subscribers know that I've got a mental fart issue on the go when it comes to saying Chainlink. Anyway, I do those on a daily basis, and I do bonus coins. This is one of them. So this is the type of thing that you'll see from time to time, whether it's Litecoin or Ripple or whatever basic attention token. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.